Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, February, what's today? The 16th, 2022. Guys, I am tired and I apologize to all of you watching live on YouTube because I normally kind of put the placeholder for the live stream up right about an hour before we go live. And today, I completely forgot to do that. So I came down to sit down to start the live stream. And then normally I kind of like log into my StreamYard stuff and then I can see it there. And then I was like, wait, there's no live stream set up for today. And I realized that I forgot to do it. So it's probably going to take a minute for everyone to get here. And hopefully we don't lose too many people. So welcome to everybody. And again, I apologize for getting this posted a little bit late, but we're here and I'm happy for all of you who have made it. Everyone listening on the podcast, none of this stuff's going to be any different for you, except for those of you who are coming over from Spotify. Sorry about the change there as well, but hopefully there'll be a smooth transition. And hopefully you guys are having a good run out there today and getting it in before the weather starts to turn bad. I think that most of this country is having some unusual weather today, and the Midwest is certainly not an exception to that. All right, and everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, hopefully you've got some afternoon coffee or something a little bit more exciting to help you get through the rest of the day. I need some afternoon coffee for sure. I literally just got back in from my run. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Everyone made it. Oh, man. Yeah, Martha says, almost like you weren't doing it today. Oh, yeah, I just totally forgot to schedule the live stream. I think, I'm deep into the marathon training block. I'm tired. Lots of stuff's going on at home, lots of stuff going on with the office, lots of stuff going on with the dog. So just a lot of things. And I'm starting to forget little things here and there. So just a good reminder for me to kind of take a step back, take a breath, reset and reload. I'm here. Diego Tanaka says, you got this. Thanks. I needed that. Thank you very much. And Steve says, hello. Yes, we are here, Steve. Bryce Blankenfield says, what up, Co? And Brett Reed says, yo, what's going on? Hi, all. Thanks, everybody, for making it here. I know I messed up the scheduling, but I'm glad to see everyone's still here. Jason Dahl, Eric Perman, Christian Schobinger. Awesome. Good to see you guys. You guys are making me feel good today. Thank you so much. Dennis Cheek says, hola a todos. Hola. And it says, hi, Kavuzi and everyone. I had a very wet run with Pip after work today. Still good to be out. It is good to be out, isn't it? Today's weather in Chicago, anyway, was warm, mid-40s. I wore my thinner gloves today and just this top. Probably more than I really needed, but it is an extremely windy day and everything is soaking wet because the temperature got warm real fast and everything's melting. So, yeah, it's a wet one out here too, but I have a feeling where you are in this, wet means something very different than it means out here. Here's another thing, though. You know what? I'm pretty sure I saw Amelia Benton out on the lakefront path today. Now, she's from Houston. So I don't know why she would be out here. Maybe she's out here covering some sort of story, but I'm like, what story is she covering? Either way, not that I'm like, oh, if I didn't hear about it, must not be a story. But maybe she's here for fun. Maybe she's here for work. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was her. I mean, it looked like her, and she was the only person along the lakefront today wearing sunglasses. So I feel like it was her. I gave her a wave. I actually saw that person twice. I'm pretty sure it was Amelia. So I waved 2 times. The first time, I think I caught her by surprise. And the second time, because I was on an out and back, it was more like an awkward wave back. So I'm like, now I'm not so sure it was her. Either way, I've been trying to wave to more people along the lakefront today. And, I've been going at a certain time pretty regularly. And so now I feel like amongst the regulars at this kind of new later in the morning time that I've been going lately, I feel like there's a pretty good rapport, a lot of waving happening. So I'm pretty happy about that. Callie R says, hey, everyone, saludos from Zurich, Switzerland. That sentence took a lot of turns. Oh, that's nice. I like that. And Steve76 says, yo, what's going on? All right. Aaron Shimon says, this new time zone means I catch all the streams. Awesome. Well, that works out great. Very cool. Glad to have you here, Aaron. Eric had a very different run than I had today. He says, so I got my 7.5 mile trail run in this morning with 1,600 feet of vert, ice, and more ice. It was slow going with the Lone Pine 6. That tread was dicey. Hope everyone is well. Yeah, I really wanted to love my Lone Peak. Did I have the 5? I think I had the 5. I'm not sure which Lone Peak I had. But it just felt like felt like a little bit not dialed in for me. And I felt like I never felt like I could really go hard in that shoe. Not that like every shoe has to be a go hard shoe, but I did find it to be very comfortable. I actually did really enjoy wearing it around casually. But like certain runs, it was challenging for me to be in the Lone Peak. But it sounds like you had a really fun day out there though. Slow going's okay. You're still getting the work in. And you made it back safe. And Eric says, ask me about the Ultra Mont Blanc. I have to return the ones I ordered. What happened, Eric? Ooh. See, I don't know if I'm gonna go get the Ultra Mont Blanc. I feel like that's in that territory of like trail shoe. That's more trail shoe than I kind of can handle. It sure does look like a fun shoe though. But what's going on with that? Sizing wrong or something? Or just was it uncomfortable? I don't know. Brett Reed is coming in with some feedback on the Streak Fly. He went on his first run of the Streak Fly yesterday. Felt great, very natural feeling. However, I don't know why someone would pick it over a carbon-plated shoe for anything over 5K. I mean, it is only a 5K to 10K shoe, or at least that's what it says on the side, right? So, I mean, a 10K is not that much longer than a 5K. I always feel like the 10K is the 5K that just hurts a lot more. I don't feel like it's any less painful. And I have a hard time. I mean, that's because maybe I don't have a lot of experience at that 5K pace or 10K pace. I'm not really sure what's the difference. For me, I'm not good at the difference in pacing, So I think I have a 10K speed that I run for 5Ks as well. And I just feel exhausted at the end either way. But yeah, it has me I've been thinking a lot about shoes like the Streak Fly and like the Takumi Sen, which is what I ran in today. I've been thinking about them a lot lately, and I think that like my initial like hunch on it is right. Is that my opinion is only like further bolstered the more I think about it and the more I run in the Takumi Sen. Is that like there's been a lot. I mean, think about high school kids. For me in high school, I don't think I ran 30 miles a week. And then in college, I mean, I was a pole vaulter in college, so I don't even think we counted our miles. So like, and it took me a long time from running to even think about signing up for a marathon. Like I remember my first 10-mile race. The next day, it felt like the bottoms of my feet were going to fall off. Like, the pad, like the callus on the bottom of your foot. I felt like it had just completely like disconnected itself from my foot. Right. So like the shoe like the Alpha Fly that's designed for a marathon and marathon training. It's just like, I don't know. It's like when I think about the Ultra Mont Blanc. It's like, sure, that's a great looking shoe. I just don't need it. I think that for people that are racing 5Ks and maybe thinking about racing a 10K, that's where I think I think that's the target market. I think it's an underserved market. Think about all those high school and college kids that maybe have been buying some vapor flies. I saw a high school kid walking home from school the other day, walking home in vapor flies. Anyway, I had to get that off my chest. But anyway, yeah, I think all those like high school and college kids finally have like shoes that are very much more targeted for them. Because I think before that they were doing their workouts and like if they needed like a race flat, they were reaching for the Zoom Streaks and maybe like the Audio 6, maybe the Takumi Sen, the older versions. But now they've got something a little bit more special for them. So I think that's what it's for. But like, I think for like, people like, like everyone here and people like me, we're like, I've got like 4 other carbon plated shoes. Do I need that? I think that's kind of like where it ends up landing. Daniel Adams said, did you intend to put that random screenshot of Craig Angles in the video or was it another of the tests? Today, yeah, it was intentional. So today's video was the Nimbus 24 versus the Vomero 16. And I put it in there because he's got a nice running mullet, at least in a lot of those pictures. I don't think he has it now. I think he cut it. But for a long time, he had a nice running mullet and mustache. But that's why I put it in there, the Craig Angles shot, because I was talking about how both of those shoes have this weird thing where it's very, very cushioned in the back. And then it's like normal daily trainer in the front. So it's like party in the front, no, business in the front, party in the back kind of thing. That's where I was going with that. Maybe it didn't quite work. Martha says, Kofuzi, we'll be in San Diego when you're in LA, so maybe worth a drive to see your promise to be epic shakeout run. Can you divulge what part of LA it'll be in? I don't have further details yet. I will let you guys know when we get to there. I don't want to call it epic, but so maybe I'm overselling it. Let me get more details, finalize more details, and then I'll definitely tell you guys. You guys will know first before anyone else, for sure. Bryce Blankenfield says, how did you increase your weekly mileage to where you're at now? Did you follow 10% rule or just wing it? I mean, pretty much everything I do is a little bit of winging it. But I don't really follow the 10% rule because, I run year round and I generally am averaging like 40 to 50 miles a week in like a kind of like a base building, like a maintenance phase, right? Like if I'm in an off season. So like usually when my mileage is lower, it's because I'm trying to recover and ramp back up later, So for me to get from 40 to 60, it really doesn't feel that different to me. It doesn't take a lot to transition. Getting from like 60 to 70 feels like a little bit more work, and then getting into 80 feels like a lot. But if I'm in a phase where I really want to focus on a lot more mileage increases, if I'm in a lower phase, like if I'm at 40 and I'm like, all right, I got to ramp up this mileage soon, what I will tend to do is just do more mileage and not worry as much about intensity. Having touched those like 60-mile and 70-mile weeks before, I know I can get there. I know my body can handle it. It's just a matter of kind of like just easing back into it. If I'd never been like, if I suddenly wanted to start doing like 90-mile weeks, which I've done 100-mile week before, and I've done like a handful of 80-mile weeks. I don't know that I've ever gotten to like 90. I think I think one time I got close to 90 and I was like, I might as well hit 100. If I'm going to go to a weekly mileage, that's where I normally don't hit, then I'll be a little bit more careful of how I get there. And I'll also make sure I'm doing a lot more sleeping. That's why there haven't been as many videos lately. One is because there aren't a lot of releases right now. And I tried to get all those new Puma shoes, but they're not out yet. And no one at Puma has sent me any like last year. And so like that's like the only new releases that have been out lately. And like the Takumi Sen, I tried to get the Street Fly. So there's not a lot of new shoes to review. So I'm like, I'm just going to sleep a little bit more on my workout days and just not make videos those days. So that's kind of what I've been doing, is just make sure I'm resting more, and then being more careful when I get to areas of mileage where I haven't been. But if I've been there before, like 70, I don't worry about it as much. Frank said, did I get Amelia Benton on camera? No, I didn't. Well, the first time I was in the middle of a rep and I was just like, I like couldn't breathe. And I saw her like at the last second, because you know how you get tunnel vision when you're running hard. And then I was like, Amelia, and I yelled at her. And then I saw her on the way back. And again, I was just in my own world. I was on my cool down, but I was like just kind of oblivious. And then I saw her like again at the last second. So I just gave a quick wave. So I didn't get her on camera. I was thinking that I try not to do that too much to people. All right. Let me scroll down a little bit more. Jeff Elliott says, let's see, we got a lot of other people giving their kind of experiences with increasing mileage. So Eric says, at over 50, I'm now in the 0 to 5% increase rule group, taking it gingerly. I think that's also a very good approach too. And Jeff says, I found that it was easy to increase mileage when everything was Z2 or MAF. That's another thing too. If I were going to try to hit another like 100-mile week, I think like if I were to do it again as part of a training block, I mean, it's one thing if I'm doing it to do it. If I'm doing it to do it, kind of like Ginger Runner does it, like every once in a while, and he'll make a video about 100-mile week. If I were to do that just to get to that 100-mile mark, I would just do it all easy, and just have as much fun with it as possible. But if I think I need to revisit the idea of whether high mileage really works for me or not in a marathon training block. And if I were to do it again, I don't know that 100 would be the right number for me, but if I were to get to like, a couple weeks of 80, maybe get towards 90, um, I would get to there first with not too much intensity on the first week, and maybe on the second week, then start to incorporate it and see if I can handle it and see how it goes too. And Super Unjit says, I thought the 10% rule was more for like your first time adding mileage, not necessarily in a training block for a seasoned runner. Yeah, I think, well, I think that there's some wisdom to it also for like seasoned runners too. It's just kind of like a good way to check yourself in terms of like, well, like I had a couple of weeks of vacation, and then haven't been running a lot, and I've been in like the 30s. To go to like 70, even for an experienced runner, I think would be a big ramp up. That would be something you'd want to do very carefully. That's kind of one way to look at it too. Frank says, why have people started spelling math with 2 F's? Well, I think there's a couple of things. I've tried not to call it math. I've been trying to call it Maffetone because that's his name, and his name has 2 F's in it. And then math is the maximum aerobic function. It's the name of the test. So that's an acronym, MAF. And then there's Maffetone, the person. And then sometimes when people talk about his system, they shorthand it to math, which I think can be confusing because there's a test that you do, that 5 miles on the track at the Maffetone heart rate. So I think that's where all those things come around. JC wants to know, are curlers athletes? I think that there's more athleticism involved in that sport than say darts. I think darts is I don't know if darts a sport. It's certainly broadcast like a sport in England from the last I remember. I haven't been there in a long time, but I just remember watching on TV when I was over there visiting one time. They would just like broadcast it on TV, just kind of like they would broadcast bowling on TV here on a Saturday in the US. But what was awesome about the way that darts, or like 301, one of my favorite games, is played, is that like you also see like the crowd, and there's just like a crowd full of people just drinking at these long tables, like a Oktoberfest style, and it just seems like super fun, and that's something I definitely want to do someday. But one of my buddies who, he used to live down here in Chicago, me, my running buddy, and this other guy used to hang out quite a bit, and he moved up to Minneapolis, where he's from, and where he's originally from. And he's been telling me how he's been doing ice fishing, and he's on a curling team with some of his buddies from high school, which I think is super funny. Like they all have like the bags game, cornhole, whatever you want to call it, in their backyard. They go to meat raffles in the winter. They do ice fishing and go curling. Like Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's like a different country sometimes. Very Canadian. Crossley wants to know who's more athletic, curlers or bowlers? I would say curlers. I feel like it's harder to do the sweep. I guess it's what your role is. Now, I haven't watched curling close enough. Does everyone have to do every role, or can one person just be the stone thrower, slider? I don't know, because I feel like the sweepers, that's going to be a little bit harder to do than like not harder, but it's a different kind of activity than bowling is. I'm not sure. Jinx Hussein says, if you can drink and smoke while doing it, then it isn't a sport, per Harry Bosch. I don't know who Harry Bosch is, but I think that's a pretty funny rule. But then, I think it takes out like baseball, softball, probably badminton, depending on how you're doing it. Volleyball, maybe a volleyball. I need like beach sport, I guess. And then, and then like maybe like half the Olympic sports, like archery, skeet shooting. Yeah. Remy says, if you can train for it and you can win a gold medal, I'll call it a sport. Yeah, I think so. But isn't like breakdancing going to be an Olympic sport in Paris? Is that the sport that they're going to do in Paris? I think the breakdancing is one. Yeah. So I mean, like, are they sports? I don't know. I mean, I think another way to look at it is like, can you bet on it? Not that I don't I think sports betting is terrible for sports, but I think that's another way to look at it too. But I guess you can bet on a lot of, or people would happily participate in betting on a lot of things. So maybe that's not a good one either. Jonathan Crosby says, in Buffalo/Niagara Falls, where I grew up, both are popular, both bowling and curling. He said, I would side with curling personally. Yeah, I think I would like to be. I like curling. I want to play. JC says I couldn't be a curler. I hate sweeping and cleaning in general. See, I would like it because it's kind of like shuffleboard. It's kind of like darts. It's kind of like bags or cornhole. It's like all those things combined. I just think it looks really fun. I remember from the first time I saw it, I'm like, what is this? I got to do that. I've never been able to go and do it. I'm trying to think of when maybe next time I'm up in Minneapolis, I can do it. Super Ninja says, I'm in Minneapolis and I can test all those things except for curling. I've never seen or heard of anyone curling around here. Maybe that's changing. Okay. I just assume, like my wife has friends up in Minneapolis too. They're not curlers, but they're not ice fishers either. Ice fishermen? One of my wife's friends, they used to live in this building. We knew them before they moved into this building, but anyway, longer story for maybe a different day. But the husband, he's from Rochester, Minnesota originally. And she's originally from, where is she originally? I think she's originally from Minneapolis. Yeah, I think that's right. So they're Minnesotans through and through. And they don't ice fish or go curling. So maybe you're right, Super Unjit. He says, but yes, lots of ice fishing and meat raffles are real bizarre things. Yeah, I keep hearing the stories about the meat raffle, and I'm like, I don't even eat meat, and I want to go to a meat raffle. Sounds just so funny. Sounds like a fun way to kind of spend a morning in a cold winter day. Bryce says curling is a high school elective in northern Minnesota. There you go. Awesome. Remy says some people would look at running and not call it a sport. Depends on your region and a background. Yeah, I think there's definitely been that because it's not like people don't see it quite as a team sport, even though it certainly can be. And it's not like a ball sport, So I think I can understand that too. And it says curling seems to include heavy drinking after the match in Scotland. I think that is a requirement. I think that's part of the game culture, no matter where you are. I think that's what makes it a lot of fun as well. Frank says, I actually feel more irritated at sports that there doesn't seem to be any way for an average person to get involved with. There's like 2 bobsled courses in the whole US. Yeah. It certainly makes me like think about that, because it's like you look at people that are doing like, remember we talked about that the other day, skeleton and those kinds of sports. It's like, all right, well, you're competing for Team USA in skeleton, let's say, for example. Is that and they're competitive on the Olympic stage. I don't know if they're hitting the podium or not, but they're at the Olympics, right? That's nothing. That's a huge accomplishment. But I'm like, but you know what? I got third in the USATF Masters Championship in steeplechase. It was my first time. Like, I'm not saying that those are comparable, but I'm like, the field of competition, at least from the US in some of these sports, is not like short track skating. Like, where are people short track skating? Now, Apollo Ono is like an exception to that kind of thing where he's just dominant, right? But at the same time, it's like, who else is in the US is short track skating? I don't know. I'm surprised that it isn't a more popular sport. That seems like a lot of fun. Dangerous and also fun. Dad Morale says hiking is very physical and not a sport. That's true. But I guess like the sport version of hiking is the sport version of hiking ultra trail. That's what I think. Tracy says, if the drinking decides it, should we talk about all of the post-race beers? That's funny. yeah. I think, all right. Yeah. I think a lot of races have post-race beers. I enjoy that. It's a part of the, I guess, like modern running culture that I particularly enjoy. Not everyone does. It's not necessary. I don't think it's as ingrained into the culture as, say, like softball or curling. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is. I don't know. All right. Mika Katai says, evening all. 10th day of no running. On the last day on anti-inflammatory treatment. Awesome. And the first day of no hip pain in a while. So everything's getting slowly back on track. All right. Sounds good. Last day of the anti-inflammatories. Hip pain's going away. So it looks like maybe that's working. Hopefully, as you transition off of those treatments, the pain will stay away. Good luck. Fingers crossed for you. JC says, will we ever see Olympic dodgeball? No dumber than some of the other sports, in air quotes. I think the closest thing we'll see to Olympic dodgeball is like, what is it? Handball? It's like soccer, but with you throw the ball. Like that's a sport that I don't quite understand. Is lacrosse an Olympic sport? Like those are sports that are like pretty niche sports. Some parts of the country there's pretty intense when it comes to lacrosse, but at least in the US, I don't think anyone's really playing handball. But I think in certain parts of Europe, it's a very popular sport. Frank says long track speed skating also seems like it would be fun too, but there's literally only 2 rinks in the US. It's another sport that you just got to live in the right spot. Like my buddy, his mom has a lake house up in, I think it's Wisconsin. It's really close to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, but it's on the Wisconsin side. And that's where he learned to water ski. And he was on like a water skiing team apparently growing up. Like his parents would come to the lake house in the summer and he would just water ski a bunch growing up as a kid. So he was on some sort of like junior water skiing team. And I'm like, really? That's really weird. I've never met anyone that's water skied before, let alone was on a competitive water skiing team. And also in the area is a ski jump. Like, when you get tuck into a ball, not ball, but tuck in, and then all of a sudden you're like a flying squirrel with the skis. So I don't know that he's ever done that too, but he, like every winter in that area, people will just ski jump and people just hang out all day, drink beers and watch. I don't know. This is not how I grew up. That's for sure. Very different. Cody Davis says lacrosse is not at the moment an Olympic sport, but I believe it will be in the next, if not the one after that. Yeah, see, I think that the Olympics is constantly like tinkering with which sports that they have, like adding and subtracting some, right? Because they're just trying to figure out like how do we keep people watching, which I think is a problem that they have. I think that I think the weirdest Olympic sport is dressage. It involves horses. I feel like if you need an animal, like it shouldn't be an Olympic sport. Like Iditarod, like style dog sled racing. Like I think that would actually be a pretty good Olympic sport now that I think about it. So maybe I take that back. You know what should be an Olympic sport? Like the original Western states. Horse versus man, 100-mile run. That should be a winter Olympic sport. Like it would take days, and like the coverage would be like, and the contestants are still running, the athletes and the horses are still going. Day 3, I guess the Western states didn't take 3 days back then, but something like that would be pretty amazing, I think. Terry says, just about winter sports in general. Winter sports involve getting cold, so no thank you. I do not like getting cold. Just a no to all of them. Awesome. Love it. Super Injured says there's a lot of water skiing in Minnesota too. Lots of lakes, as you may have heard. It is the land of 10,000 lakes, or is it the land of 1,000 lakes? I think what a lot of people don't realize. Oh, what's going on here? Sorry. I was sitting in a way, I was like sitting on my ankle, and my tights have a lot of dirt on them from today's run. So now I just realized I'm sitting in dirt. I think that a lot of people forget that the LA Lakers were once a Minnesota team. That's why they're the Lakers. Bryce Blankenfield says, does competitive ice fishing count as a sport? The eel pout, is that a typo? Is that what it is? Eel pout? Eel pout tournaments up north get real competitive. I mean, like, fishing is a sport. Like, there's sport fish. I mean, not sport fish. There's sport fishing, which is the thing where you go out on like a boat and you try to catch like a big game hunting, but with fish. But then there's like, bass fishing tournaments and stuff. So I think that's a sport, right? Is it a sport? Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's on TV and people get sponsored for it. So I guess that's one way of looking at it. Super interested. I think the biathlon is the weirdest. What if we combine cross-country skiing with shooting guns? I love watching biathlon. I just absolutely love it. I think it's so cool. I would need to learn how to ski and shoot to participate, but I would love to be able to participate in that sport. I forget who it was, but someone tweeted out on running Twitter. Someone was like, "Can we have a running version of that?" That is something that, well, I don't really want to shoot a gun, but I wish there was some sort of way to like make. I mean, I guess like ultra running generally, or trail racing is like, it's kind of a biathlon. You run a lot and then you have to eat a ton and not get sick. I mean, I guess you could get sick, but you have to be able to continue running. But if there was another way they could incorporate another activity other than eating, I think that would be kind of a fun thing to do. I just don't know I don't know how you do that. Kim says triathlon became an Olympic sport not long ago. Yeah, I know that. It's weird that that's only recently. I think it was Rio, right? Because Gwen Jorgensen won the first women's gold. Isn't that right? Am I wrong on that? Martha says, one of the funniest Olympic moments was when a horse stopped cold in front of a fence and walked around it. Anyone else see that? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I think it was funny. I mean, people like lambasted it because they thought it was kind of dumb. But I thought when Kevin Hart and Snoop were reacting to watching dressage on it was like on Peacock or something like that, one of the other NBC outlets, I thought that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. All right, Mika Katai says, I picked up the Ultimate Direction Race Vest. Don't like the flasks. Any ideas on different makes that would fit the pockets? On that one, those are the for that one, I don't like the flasks are okay. I just don't like bottles generally up front. I go with the bladder in the back. I got the 1.5 liter, and I feel like that works. So that would be my main recommendation. But it depends. The race vest. Does that one have? I have two Ultimate Direction vests. One has little hard bottles, like the kind that look like they clip into those belts. Have you ever seen those? Like that kind. And then the one I got recently, it has soft flasks up front. And the soft flasks work pretty good. They're a little bit on the heavy side, so they bounce a lot for me, which is always hard. Which is the main reason I just always end up going on the back. But maybe someone else has had some good luck with some other bottles in there. Frank says they should have a 14-day time race for the whole duration of the Olympics, like an extra couple of outside track lanes. Oh, I'm with you. I think that if there was something that like started at the opening ceremonies, like when they like light the torch, there's always something like some sort of like dramatic, like someone shot an arrow one time, or like sometime you like lit something at the bottom and the flames went all the way up until there was a flame at the top. As soon as they like, that should be the starting gun, and then some sort of foot race. And then I think if it's Winter Olympics, it should be some sort of like cross-country ski race. And it takes the entire time. And it ends at the closing ceremonies. Like, I feel like that would be pretty awesome. But then it's like, it's not gonna. I mean, the chances are that it's not going to be dramatic, and that someone will know like who's going to win. I mean, what kind of race is 14 days long? But like, like you would know who was going to win. Like maybe, what if you know someone's going to win like 3 days out? Then it could become anticlimactic, but still impressive. Or it could be like a what's his name? The guy that does Barkley marathons, like one of his races where there's only one finisher and everyone else gets a DNF. So the first person to make it back to the closing ceremonies wins and finishes the race, and everyone gets a DNF. That'd be pretty funny. I think I would like that. Andrew Hunt says the esports are coming to Olympics near you. The question is whether those are summer games or winter games. That's a great question. I feel like that they should make that winter games. I feel like the size of the summer games is probably many-fold bigger than the winter games. And so if you have one that can go either way, I think you should add sports to the winter games. There's also a lot of people on track Twitter talking about, or running Twitter talking about how cross country should be a winter Olympic sport. And I'm all for that. I think that'd be great. Maybe give everyone guns and have them shoot things at the end of it, like a biathlon. Like a running biathlon. There we go. What's this man versus food for a new Olympic sport? I feel like the next time there's an Olympics in the US, that should be like, this will be our contribution. Like Paris is like, we want to bring in breakdancing. Tokyo brought in rock climbing. The US is like, we're going to eat a lot very fast. You're welcome, world. I think that, and I think people will be like, right on, we get it. We're on board. JC says, how about distance running and free throw shooting? That would work. And it needs to be a skill sport. I mean, if it's going to be running, if we're not going to give them guns like they do biathlon, then it should be archery. So you run and then you have to shoot your bow and arrow. I think that would make more sense, I think. And I think like the biathlon is supposed to be like, I mean, does it have some sort of like historical origin? Where it's like, this is how people hunted or something like that. I don't know. Because that's like how, I mean, steeplechase wasn't about hunting, but steeplechase was about running from one town to another, one church steeple to another steeple. And sometimes you'd be running over barriers and through a creek and stuff. So I think that's how there's barriers in the steeplechase. I'm presuming that biathlon is that way, unless they were just like, we need more sports. And people are like, you know what we do a lot in the winter? We do a lot of hunting and shooting. So let's bring that. I mean, that could be very well how it comes in. I'm thinking that there's some sort of like cultural, historical significance. Maybe it's just been like, you know what this needs? Maybe some like marketing guy at the IOC is like, people like guns. So maybe that. Ted Henry says biathlon, that's the 100K subs challenge. Oh my goodness. Well, I would need to do something in the summer because I think that's when it's going to happen. I still think it's going to be like 3 months from now. So, yeah. Adam JK says modern pentathlon has to be up there as one of the quirkiest sports. Yeah, that has horses involved in it too, right? One of the presenters on GTN, isn't she an Olympian in the pentathlon? I think she is. I think she was a medalist in the pentathlon. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Jonathan Crossley says, here we go. Summer biathlon. Trail half marathon with shooting at 5K, 10K, and 15K. I'm in. Yeah, I mean, I would want to try that. I would learn to shoot to play that sport. That would be a lot of fun. And then do you get to eat at the 5, 10, and 15K mark? Or I guess for a trail half marathon, you probably don't need to eat too much food. Maybe you're taking food at the 10K mark. I'm not sure. Remy says, I used to compete. I don't know. I can't tell if this is for real or not. Remy says, I used to compete in Dance Dance Revolution at a very high level during high school and college. Not a sport. You can't do it if you're not in good shape. When you mean you were doing it at a very high level, you mean like at home playing the video game, or like when you would go to like Dave and Buster's or like a place that has like the giant setup, the handlebars, and then you're like moving your feet around and like spinning. Like we need a visual. I think Remy, I think we need to get a video of this, and you got to put this up on YouTube. We got to see this. You got to share. You can't just drop a story like that and not have video confirmation. But I guess like there's not a lot of stuff from my college. I mean, I'm old, so like there's not a lot of stuff from my college days. Thankfully, that's on video. So maybe there isn't. Edgar Smith says, "Yo, any thoughts on pre-LA Marathon Kafuzi run? Just sign up for the LA Marathon. There will be a Kafuzi run. I will give more details as soon as I'm working on some plans. So I'll have more details, and you guys will be the first ones to know. But I'm looking forward to seeing you, Edgar. Very cool. All right. Lou Klein. Whoops, sorry I'm late. Did I miss anything? Well, good to have you here, Lou. Sorry that I forgot to post like the kind of like the placeholder thing for the live stream. So I know like it was hard for some people to find it. It's really dark in here all of a sudden. Kurt Siege is on board for cross country. He says, in my opinion, they should bring back cross country running. I don't care if it's winter or summer. I agree. It's a great team sport. I really enjoy it. I don't get to watch it enough. That's for sure. And I think that it's I just think it's fun. They should totally do it. I don't know why not. Are there too many running events? Is that the concern? I don't know. Jason White says, I can see Laz as our Olympic ambassador. LOL. That would be kind of funny. They'd be like, there's only one medal, no more silver and bronze, just gold. Everyone else gets a DNF. Frank says everything is summer games unless it actually requires frozen water in some form. I suppose. Is there anything that doesn't? I'm trying to think. I mean, you're either on an ice rink or you're on a slope, right? So, yeah. Dad Runner says there should be some type of winter running event. I mean, then run in the snow. I'm not saying that people have to run on a track, and for the cross country course. I mean, like if you look at some of the cross country courses, like did you guys watch? There was that charity. I think it was a cross country event in Kenya recently. I was looking at some of the photos from that event, and like they created a mud pit, and there's hay bales like throughout the course that you have to jump over. So it's like they're making it intentionally difficult. I think what would be great is, have you guys seen that one? There's a 5K race. I think it's in Italy somewhere, where like it's a historic race, and part of it goes through a town and like through a person's house, and then like you see people running through this like old like Italian stone like building that's like probably hundreds of years old, and they're running through like what probably was a kitchen and up some stairs and through a doorway that doesn't have a door on it, that kind of thing. I feel like there should be something like that through just the Olympic Village. Richard Murray did something like that because I think he was hurt during the Olympics and couldn't compete in the triathlon relay. And so he did his own like little like mini fake triathlon in the Olympic Village. I like antics like that. But I think maybe that would be kind of funny. But I don't think that would really go over well. That's never going to happen. But I don't know. Daz Darren 99 says, I'm wearing the same shirt as you today. Looks like a rap shirt. It is. I think we could be twinsies. We both wear a lot of rabbit and tracksmith. I'm wearing rabbit top today and tracksmith tights for my run. And I'm like, wait. I'm like, they both have rabbits as their logo. But the rabbit logo is very different than the tracksmith hare, the HARE. I'm like, that could have been, I'm sure that they had to do it differently intentionally. Otherwise, there'd be trademark problems. All right, I'm going to scroll down. I'm a little bit further behind you guys in the chat. All right. Yeah. Kurt C says it's the St. Mulini cross country race. Means 5 mils. Yeah, because it runs through 5 mils. Yeah, there you go. See, that is an event I want to go watch. I wouldn't mind participating in it, but then like I'd be way last. But that's super cool. I really like that race. Luke Line says OSR does a run in downtown New York that goes through an IKEA. See, that's the kind of stuff that I like. I think it's very funny. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't want to go all the way like to the level of parkour, but I feel like some sort of like, I think like making running not every day, but sometimes being a little bit more frenetic, I think is fun and good for the sport. Dan Morales says, every time I see Tracksmith, I think of the serious runner. I think so too. I definitely think about him every time I put on Tracksmith clothing now. Especially every time I like use a hashtag no days off, then I'm like, I definitely feel like serious runners watching this and mocking me. But yeah, definitely put that together. Oh, Kurt says they have a citizens race for the 5 mils. Totally want to do it someday. Oh boy. All right, now we're gonna have to look into that one. There's a non-elite version, like regular people can do it. Amazing. Oh, and Martha says there's a brand new, very short serious runner video today. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. Speaking of Tracksmith, awesome. Thanks for the heads up. JC says a local running group decided to see who could run around the lake in Central Dallas in the shortest total distance. Oh, it was decided the shortest route was to the lobby of a hospital. That's funny. That's amazing. Trials of Miles have been doing a lot of stuff like that too, where it's just like there's I mean, the way that they've been setting theirs up is like there's a window of time and here's a starting point and an end point, and you just got to get from the starting point to the end point and sometimes and back, and then post your time, post your Strava post on it, and then they figure out who the winner was, who was the fastest. And I kind of like stuff like that. I mean, I know it's got to be probably pretty annoying to like the general public to some extent, but as long as those events can be done kind of like in a fun, safe way, I think it's great. I think that it adds to like the whole part of it. Like one of my favorite things to do is to run under the bean in Chicago with my 360 camera when it's like full of tourists. I just think that it's like visual cacophony, and I just really enjoy it. All right, Brendan Cam is here, says hello, hope you're doing great. He says, I'm sitting in my work parking lot, eating a snack and watching while I wait for my software to install. There you go. It's a nice way to kill some time. Awesome. All right, guys. I think that's going to be a great place to leave it for today. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do today. There will be a video tomorrow. I'm not sure what the video is going to be yet. It depends on kind of how things shake out tonight. But there will be a video tomorrow. And then in the afternoon, we'll do a live stream. Is tomorrow Thursday? What's today? What day is it today? Today Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. So we'll do happy hour. So bring your favorite recovery beverage. I got to think, did I order something for happy hour this week? Oh, hopefully I did. I got to double check, see what packages came. But we'll have something. All right. Until I see you guys tomorrow, guys, be safe out there. Thanks.